how can you protect against piracy over the internet? As you know, it's a parallel universe. It's ever expanding, and it's very hard to police because it's virtual. It's parallel and it's virtual. And how do you prevent against people putting up photos without your permission, or your artworks, sharing it over Facebook or your blogs, for example? And since this show tackles mostly intellectual property, meaning your artwork, copyright, your stories, literary works, your trademarks, your brands, your inventions like gadgets, and covered by patent law, we have here our experts to tell us about fair use, what is allowed, what is the practice over the internet, and how can you protect your works from being pirated. Okay, let's start with the Internet Society. Mr. Lozano, as I said, that's a question that was thrown to us a couple of weeks back. For example, if you have a trademark, say Jollibee, then I register it as a domain. Is it called domain, your website, like www.jollibee.com.ph?
Yeah, that's a domain name.
That's a domain name. Tapos I'm not legally Jollibee. I mean, I'm not in any way affiliated with Jollibee, but I happen to register it as a domain name ahead of the legitimate company. Why is that allowed to happen? And what do you think, what has the Internet Society of the Philippines done on occasions like this?
Well, these things like registering domain names, it happens like even if they don't own the domain, because the registrars doesn't really know before if you really own the domain. But I think right now, if you're going to register a domain, especially if it is a corporate name, normally they would ask for a document that you really own the corporate name.
Okay, but it has happened before. Before, it's not regulated that way, and anyone can register any company name as a website without verification. Kasi ang domain name registration is, well, it's not your function, no, to verify whether it's a legitimate corporation applying for the domain name.
Yes, exactly. That happened with PLDT.
It's an actual case, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it's an actual case. Somebody registered PLDT.com, .ph or PLDT.com ahead of them. And I think it went to court. But the thing is, the guy who registered was intelligent enough to go ahead with PLDT because they know that after some time, the company that really owns this particular corporate name would use it. So if the corporation who owns this particular domain name will use it, they have to buy it. It's like for example, if I register that domain, they have to buy it back from me, and I can sell it, at a very expensive price, rather than like paying $10 or $15 a year for your domain registration.
Negosyo.
Yes, it's
racket.
become a business, and I think not only individuals are doing that. There are some domain registrars who are smart enough to register so much domain names, and then if you need that particular domain name, you have to buy it back
from the registered owner.
Yes.
Yeah, but now the Internet Society, or at least the domain name, what do you call that? The providers are more strict. They're
domain name registrars.
Registrars.
Yeah.
Ayan. So, Internet Society is an umbrella organization of registrars, not exactly.
No, Internet Society is
It's a club.
No, it's a worldwide organization that is really for internet users. Our mission is to pursue the open development, the evolution, for the benefits of the entire world in terms of internet usage.
Internet usage. So we have here an expert on fair use. There is a term in the law called fair use, meaning sometimes you can commit acts that would otherwise seem like infringement pero is justified under this concept called fair use. So, Attorney Ortiguera, what is fair use?
Okay. Well, fair use is a very difficult concept to understand. It's one of the most significant limitations to a copyright or owner's rights, because the reason why it's difficult is because what may be fair for the user may not be necessarily fair for the copyright owner.
That's right. Yes,
so,
that's right.
And also when you examine if it's fair use, there's no standard concept. You have to judge it on a case-to-case basis. So instead of telling you what are fair use, you're given factors to consider each time you consider if it's fair use. The first one would be the character and purpose of the use. This is
Halimbawa po, academic, photocopying in schools.
yes, that is directed on the second work. So you're going to look at what is this work for? What is the purpose of it? How it is going to be used? So the second test would be you were going to examine the nature of the copyrighted work. This is the one, the first work that was copied.
For example, a poem. I copied an entire poem.
Yes, that's more. That deserves usually more protection because it is an artistic creation. The poet spent more of his artistic know-how in creating it. So that would normally poems deserve stronger protection, and that factor usually rules on the side of the copyright owner.
Kasi kahit na kumbaga mas maikli po 'yan, 'di ba, compared to an entire book, the minute that you copy like 4 lines out of a 5-line poem, that's 100% violation. Unlike if you photocopy, for example, 1 page of a book. Ayan, baka fair use pa yan. So there are standards, as Attorney Ortiguera is saying.
What you're saying also goes into the third factor. The amount of the work copyrighted. So usually when you copy, like say even 2 lines, if it's the most distinct or most well-known part of the poem, like the line of Shakespeare, which is no longer under copyright, but when you hear the word "a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet," you immediately know that even it's 2 lines, but it's Shakespeare. So it doesn't matter if you copy just 2. And the fourth factor would be the effect on the market. So because fair use usually, it most of the time it would be fair use if it does not supersede use of the original. In other words, if it doesn't take money out of the copyright owner.
Okay. So we're talking money now, the commercial aspect of intellectual property.
Yes. The effect of the market. So if what you're doing does not injure the copyright owner not much or does not injure him at all, that factor would usually lean on the second user. So those are the 4 factors that you have to consider always when you try to determine whether this use was fair.
Fair use. So we have 4 factors. Again, it's the amount copied.
Yes, that's the third. And then
that's the third pala.
Yes,
the first being
the character and purpose of the use.
How are you using it? Is it for just yourself, or are you doing it for profit, or multiple copies for profit?
Yes, or for schools.
So for schools. Ganyan. So we measure all these things in order to determine whether justified yung pag-copy ng isang particularly copyrighted work. So we're talking poems, we're talking literary works, books, short stories, articles, news articles,
even music.
Music, even videos, movies, ganyan.
Everything.
So kung halimbawa you just copied an excerpt as a promotion, kuwari, it's a 1-hour movie and then you copy like 30 seconds from the film pang plug, and that was allowed by the copyright owner, so that's allowed. Or you use it as an item for news, for promotion. So meron pong mga ganong calibrating factors pala under the law.
If you're a movie critic, you have to use let's say a scene in order to explain what you think about the movie, or a line. So you're not really stealing anything from the copyright owner. People would even go to the movie to watch it because of your criticism.
Precisely because of your criticism.
Yes.
Kumbaga, you cannot criticize or write an article about a movie without somehow describing the story, or at least quoting some lines from it. So ganon, merong ganong factors when we consider whether use is fair use or not.
Yes.
So let's go na to the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. So Miss Malu Jacob, ayan. So good morning po.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, when it comes to intellectual property, particularly copyrighted works, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts is very active in promoting literary and artistic works.
Right, you're right there, And I would like to look at the intellectual property rights on a very macro level.
Yes.
Na-influence kami dito by the IPO actually brought it to our attention, and since then we have been working towards the intellectual property rights of the artists. In fact, we're now in the middle of developing a creative, or what you call a cultural industry for the Filipino artists.
Industry.
At first, we were not connecting it with the intellectual property rights until nga IPO brought it to our attention that we will arrive at our goals easier if we really look into the IPR. Okay, when we say creative industry for the Filipino artist, what we are asking for is a paradigm shift. No?
Right.
In other words, let us give the most profit to the creators.
Yan,
Okay,
oo,
yan, okay.
correct.
Not to the to those who will provide the capital, and well, of course, a portion there, and marketing. But let us remember that it is a creative or a cultural industry. So ang dapat yung first beneficiary, and of course that is our concern, would be the artist.
The artist.
And when you say the artist, we're talking of visual artists, musicians, composers, choreographers, stage actors, singers.
Movie makers,
Yes,
kasama din po.
definitely the filmmakers.
So in other words,
Right.
NCCA wants to make it profitable for
Right.
the
So may
content
ano yon. So if
creator.
we have to have a paradigm shift, let us have a paradigm shift.
Bakit
to how we
shifting
look.
from ano po ba yung
Because
current
usually
paradigm?
when we talk of industry, ang talagang nagbe-benefit dyan would be, let's say, those who put in the capital, di ba? I mean, that's
producers.
how it is. Oh yeah, the producers.
Yeah, the
And the
producers.
marketing people. Okay. Now, we want to create an economy of culture that is beneficial to the artist. Okay. There are two types of artists, the traditional and the contemporary. We have found out in our research that for our contemporary traditional artists, ito yung mga weavers, ito yung mga chanters, ito yung mga musicians. And we have found out in our research that most of them are victims of loan sharks. In other words, if they have to have loans, the interest is really so terrible, ano? So we have brought in a microfinance to help them. No collateral, low interest. Then on the other side, yung
We have
palang
that.
problema nila ay marketing naman, ano? Dahil we have a situation wherein 70% goes to the marketing person, 30% small percentage goes to the artist. So sabi namin,
So,
that's not fair, no?
medyo mahina po yung kita.
Why develop a cultural industry at all if not for the benefit of the Filipino artist?
Oo
Okay.
nga.
So sa contemporary artist, ganun din ang mga situation. So I'm very happy that in our, in the middle of our campaign to develop, this industry,
Yeah,
I am
creative
among
experts,
well,
industry experts. Ayan, so
the lawyers and the yes.
yeah, so we're going to talk more about the creative industry after this traffic and weather update from Charlie of traffic.com.